Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our education session on recognizing and reducing caregiver stress. My name is Ali Grady, and I'm an education coordinator at the Alzheimer's Society of Peterborough, Kawartha Lakes, Northumberland, and Haliburton. And with me today are two more members of our education team, Chris Van Leuven and Sarah Cook. And we are excited to have the opportunity to collaborate and bring you this presentation today. So just a quick note, we do recognize that throughout our discussion today, there may be several questions that come up. Just in the interest in time, and because we can't always see the chat box while we're sharing the screen, we'll just ask you to hold your questions until the end of the presentation. Feel free to jot your notes or questions down. If you have a question, you can ask it in the chat pod, and just know that we'll come back to it at the end. So thank you for your help with that. So, there is no doubt that caring for a person living with dementia can be frustrating and difficult, but it can also be rewarding. Solving problems and becoming confident in knowing how to give care can provide you with a great sense of satisfaction. We are learning more and more every day about how to provide good care for a person living with Alzheimer's disease or another dementia in our day-to-day lives, and still take care of ourselves. Much of what we know comes from the experience of families and professional caregivers. Together, we are all learning how to deal with the challenges of this disease. Let's talk a little bit about providing care. Providing care for someone with dementia takes a tremendous toll on the physical and the emotional health of the primary caregiver, yet we don't often recognize the warning signs of these effects, or we deny that these effects have any impact on our health. Many caregivers tend to set their own needs aside while caring for a person living with dementia and hope that if they just don't think about it, that the stress might just go away. But we know that that's not exactly how it works. It can help to think about how dementia progresses. Understanding dementia and its progression is vital to ensure that both you and the person with dementia can live as well as possible. The Alzheimer's Society has the resources to support you and your care of the person living with dementia. Here's what we know. As the disease progresses and there are more changes happening in the brain, the person's abilities will also continue to change. Memory becomes increasingly impaired, and the person may begin to lose short-term memory. As the brain continues to change, long-term memory will also be impacted. The person will also experience changes to their abilities to make judgments, problem solve, and make decisions. The person will need assistance with daily tasks, such as meal preparation and dressing. The person will experience difficulty with communication, and behavioral changes occur as the person's ability to communicate become impaired. Overall, the person living with dementia will continue to rely more and more on the support of their friends, family, and caregivers.
So now we're going to take a moment to talk about what we've termed the circle of support. So for every one person living with dementia, it's estimated that another 5 to 10 individuals comprise their circle of support. And this team of support individuals is made up of the primary caregiver or care partner. And the person in this role is most often a spouse, or it could be an adult child, or a sibling, or another family member. Secondary caregivers tend to include additional family members and close friends. Individuals who provide support in a professional capacity, like a family physician, gerontologist, occupational therapist or physiotherapist, social workers, long-term care staff, or volunteer agencies like community care are also part of that circle of support. And additionally, you might find that support comes from members of social clubs that the person belonged to, their church community, and even their neighbors. Alzheimer's disease and other dementias have a deep impact not only on those who are diagnosed, but also on the people who are closest to them. Family members have to take on different responsibilities when a relative is diagnosed with dementia. Sons and daughters of a parent with dementia might become caregivers, and husbands and wives of the person with dementia might see their roles change. They often find themselves in the role of primary caregiver. Many in the role of primary care partner experience changes in their responsibilities, their roles, relationships, their lifestyles, and in their emotions over the course of the dementia journey. Caregivers might take on increasing responsibilities. As the disease progresses, a person living with dementia may not be able to continue looking after the same household responsibilities and tasks that they used to. Perhaps the person always looked after the family's finances, and this task has now fallen to the primary caregiver. Making decisions about financial and legal matters might feel overwhelming. Home and vehicle maintenance, scheduling doctor's appointments, grocery shopping, and meal preparation are other household tasks that may now fall solely to the primary caregiver. Care partners might also see changes in their roles. There's likely going to come a time when the person living with dementia and the primary care partner determine the need to plan for the future and discuss who is going to make those important decisions, both financial and health related, for the person living with dementia when they're no longer capable of doing so for themselves. This might mean that the person works to create an advance directive or a living will. It could also mean that the primary care partner takes on the role of power of attorney for property or personal care or both, or they may take on the role as substitute decision maker. A substitute decision maker is designated to make decisions about living arrangements, medical treatments, and finances. The Alzheimer's Society has resources available to help people in the early stages of dementia and their care partners to learn how to start the conversation when it comes to decision making, respecting independence, and planning for the future. Changes in the relationships may occur with a diagnosis of dementia. Dementia does not change a person's need for love and affection, but it does change many aspects of a relationship. The changes to a person's memory, their ability to communicate, their personality, and their mood might create feelings of a loss of connection. For care partners, you may lose that companionship and the emotional support of someone who's been close and important to you. You'll likely need to find different ways to express your feelings. When one of a couple is diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease or a related dementia, it can be hard for the partner to know what to do and how to act. It's important to remember that couples have a long history and strong emotional bonds, and this plays a role in how they act and how they react to a partner who now has dementia. Caregivers might notice increased social isolation. When surveyed, 66% of care partners found the experience of caregiving to be isolating. Care partners of those living with dementia sometimes find that their relationships with friends and family change. Members of your social circle might withdraw due to lack of understanding or not knowing how to help. This is especially complex as society continues to navigate these challenges that have been brought on by our pandemic that we're facing. You may need to be the one to reach out to and connect with friends and family members. This can be done in different ways. You can call and talk to people individually, host a virtual get together over Zoom, or you can write a family newsletter. Just remember, if you keep the lines of communication with your family and friends open, they'll be able to understand more easily what you and your family member are going through. And this might help you later on to keep those sources of support close to you and the person that you care for, because then they'll be there at the time that you might need them most. The better they understand, the more willing they'll be to pitch in and help. And last on this list on the screen is ambiguous loss and grief. Care partners are likely to experience feelings of loss and grief over their loved one's diagnosis and throughout the progression of the disease, especially as the person's abilities gradually change. Caregivers might grieve the loss of their dreams and expected plans for the future, the loss of a confidant and partner, the loss of shared roles and responsibilities, and the progressive losses in the life of the person with dementia. The ambiguous loss and grief that a caregiver may experience can make the caregiving experience even more difficult. When someone you care for is diagnosed with dementia, it can be a really emotional experience. It can mean changes within household dynamics, roles, and responsibilities. These changes can be challenging to navigate, and they may lead to increased stress for care partners. Over the next couple of slides, we're going to look at some of the common indicators of caregiver stress. Taking care of someone with dementia requires time and energy. It can be a demanding and stressful task. Knowing and recognizing the signs of stress in yourself or in someone you care about is the first step towards taking action. If the following symptoms occur on a regular basis, are increasing, or becoming more persistent, it's important to reach out for support. Call your doctor or contact your local Alzheimer's Society for help, as long-term stress can have a negative impact on your overall health and well-being. First sign on the list is denial. And this could be denial about the disease and its effect on the person with the disease. You might be thinking, everyone is overreacting. I know mom will get better. This isn't an uncommon reaction for people to have, especially when the person is just newly diagnosed. We may struggle to accept the diagnosis and the uncertainty that accompanies it. Sign number 2 is anger. And that could be anger at the person with Alzheimer's disease, it could be anger with yourself, it could be anger with others. You might find yourself reacting quickly, thinking things or saying things like, if he asks me that question once more, I will scream. Pressure from day-to-day responsibilities and increased levels of frustration might leave you with a shorter fuse. Sign number 3 is withdrawing socially. You might no longer want to stay in touch with friends or participate in those activities that you once enjoyed. You may find yourself thinking, I don't care about getting together with friends anymore. And you may find yourself making excuses to avoid social events. Sign number 4 is anxiety. And that could be feelings of anxiety about just facing another day or worrying what the future might hold. You may think, I'm worried what will happen when I'm no longer able to provide care. And that's completely common. Number 5 is depression. You feel sad, hopeless, and detached most of the time. You find yourself thinking, I don't care anymore. What's wrong with me? And that's one of the key signs of caregiver stress. Number 6 is exhaustion. You barely have energy to complete your daily tasks. You think, I don't have the energy to do anything anymore. You may be feeling depleted because of those increased responsibilities that you've taken on. Number 7 is sleeplessness. You wake up in the middle of the night, or you have nightmares, or you're having stressful dreams. You're thinking to yourself, I rarely sleep through the night anymore, and I don't feel refreshed in the morning. Sleep disturbances are a common sign of caregiver stress. Number 8 is emotional reactions. You cry at minor upsets. You're finding yourself to be irritable often. You might experience days where you're crying because there was no milk for your coffee in the morning, or you're quick to yell or react to other family members in the house. And those emotional reactions are another common sign of caregiver stress. Number 9 is lack of concentration. You have trouble focusing and you find it difficult to complete complex tasks. I used to do the daily crossword. Now I'm lucky if I can solve half of it, might be something that goes through your mind. Being able to attend to or keep concentration on something for a period of time is something that depletes as you feel stress due to your caregiving responsibilities. And the last one on the list is health problems. So you might lose or gain weight. You may get sick more often with things like a common cold or the flu, or you might develop chronic health problems like backaches, or you might experience high blood pressure. You may find yourself realizing that since the spring, I've either had a cold or the flu, and I just can't seem to shake them. This depletion in your immune system is a natural response to stress. So up on your screen, you'll see the caregiver stress assessment checklist. So as Alzheimer's disease progresses, a person's abilities change, and eventually full-time care will be needed. The person will require help with everyday activities, including bathing, dressing, eating, and using the bathroom. Providing this daily support can be exhausting. When considering how best to meet the needs of a person with dementia, it's important to think about what's best for the person, while also evaluating the impact that caregiving is having on your own well-being. Experiencing some stress is a part of everyday life. However, when symptoms of stress persist, they can be harmful. There's this important checklist, and it comes from the Alzheimer's journey at the crossroads that might be helpful to help you identify how stress is affecting your life. This checklist prompts you to place a check mark to indicate how often you experience these symptoms of stress. And a downloadable copy of this checklist can be found on our Alzheimer's Society website. But we're going to take a moment to go through the questions on the checklist now. And as you listen, check in with yourself to see if any of the stressors identified resonate with you. Do you have difficulty falling asleep? Do you wake up in the middle of the night? Do you have stressful dreams? Have you gained or lost weight recently without intending to? Do you get sick more often than you used to, like frequent colds or the flu? Have you developed chronic health problems? For example, maybe backache or headaches or high blood pressure? Do minor upsets make you cry, or do you get more angry or unusually agitated? Do you find it difficult to control your temper? Do you feel pressure to hold things together? Are you feeling hopeless about your situation? Have you given up hobbies or interests that you enjoy? Are you spending less time with others? And is caregiving affecting your career if you're still working? If you answered sometimes or often to many of the questions on this checklist, you may need to seek help to care for yourself. Even with the help of support services, providing care to a person with Alzheimer's disease can be overwhelming. No matter how close you may be to the person, you may want to consider including others in the caregiving role. Making arrangements to share caregiving responsibilities will allow the primary care partner time to take care of themselves. There are other ways in which we can reduce this stress felt by caregivers. And I'm going to turn it over to Sarah now to talk about some of these strategies.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, for taking us through that caregiver stress assessment checklist. And we hope that you found it to be a helpful tool in identifying for yourself, the level of stress that you may be experiencing. And now we've had a chance to talk about some of those signs of stress. Let's look at 10 key ways that we can help to reduce caregiver stress. So one of the most important things is the first strategy that's listed here, and that's learn about the disease. Knowing as much as you can about the disease and also some helpful care strategies will better prepare you for the dementia journey. Understanding how the disease affects the person and is likely to affect the person, it will help you to comprehend and adapt to the many changes that they're likely to experience throughout that progression. So that's really key. The second is to be realistic about the disease. And it is important, though difficult, to be realistic about the disease and how it will affect the person over time. If you can be realistic, it will be easier for you to adjust your expectations as both the needs and the abilities of the person that you're supporting continue to change. The third one is to be realistic about yourself. You need to be realistic about how much you can do as a care provider. It's helpful to think about what you do value most. Maybe it's a walk and spending time with the person that you're caring for. Maybe it's time by yourself when you feel the need to spend that time away. Or it could even be maintaining routines and housework if that's important to you. What's important to realize here is that there is no right answer. Only you can know what matters most to you and how much you can do in your caregiving role. The fourth one is to accept your feelings. When caring for a person with dementia, you will have many mixed feelings. In a single day, you may feel contented at one point, angry the next, guilty, happy, sad, embarrassed, afraid, and sometimes even helpless. These feelings may be confusing. We absolutely know that. But what you also need to know is that those feelings are absolutely normal. It is important to acknowledge them and to recognize that as a care provider, you are doing the very, very best that you can. The fifth one here on the screen is to share information and feelings with others. Sharing information about the disease with family and friends will help them to understand what is happening and to better prepare them to provide the help and support that you may need from them. It is also important to share your feelings with others. Find someone with whom you feel comfortable talking about your feelings. This may be a close friend or a family member. It could be someone that you met at an Alzheimer's support group. It could be a member of your religious community or even a healthcare professional. But it is important to share those feelings with others. Now, number 6, while we know that this may be a little easier said than done, but your attitude can make a difference in the way that you feel. So being positive can be a helpful strategy to reduce caregiver stress. Try to look at the positive side of things, focusing on what the person can still do as opposed to the abilities that have been lost can make things a little bit easier. Try to make every day count. There will still be times that are special and rewarding, so try to look for the joys in each and every day. I particularly like tip number 7, and that's look for humor. While we certainly know and acknowledge that dementia is serious, and it's often a difficult diagnosis, you may find certain situations that do have a bright side to them. Maintaining a sense of humor can be a great coping strategy for you. Laughter is such an important way to relieve tension and stress. So if you can surround yourself with opportunities for laughter, maybe it's a funny movie or a television show. Maybe it's a joke of the day. Maybe it's a friend with a really great sense of humor that you can find that joy with. Number 8 is to take care of yourself. Your health is important, and please do not ignore it. Do your very best to eat proper meals each day and to exercise regularly. Finding ways to relax and trying to get the rest that you need are really important aspects as well. Make regular appointments with your doctor for checkups. And also know that you may need to take regular breaks from your caregiving role. Don't wait until you're too exhausted to plan out how you might do this. And that's sometimes where caregivers, they do fall into that, where they wait until it's too late. And then they're struggling trying to plan how they will fit that into their schedule. Take time to maintain your interests and hobbies. Keep in touch with family and friends so that you will not feel lonely or isolated in this, sometimes what could be a longer journey. These things will really help to give you strength to continue providing that care over time. Number 9 is to get help. And we can get help through support, but also through practical help. So you will need the support that comes from sharing thoughts and feelings with others. And this could be individually, this could be with a professional, or as part of an Alzheimer's support group. The important thing is to choose the form of support that you're most comfortable with. And don't forget to accept the practical help that may be available to you. I know that it can be hard to ask for and accept help sometimes, but asking for help is not a sign of inadequate caregiving. That's probably the most important thing that I want you to hear in these tips. It is not a sign of not being able to do your caregiving role. But you cannot care for the person with dementia alone. Ask family members and ask friends for help. Most people will be willing to assist you. And there may also be programs in your community that offer assistance with household chores or other caregiving tasks. And our society can help you to access these. We're going to talk about some of these options in just a few moments. And finally, number 10 is to plan for the future. Planning for the future, while it may seem overwhelming at times, it can actually help to relieve stress. While the person with dementia is still capable, review their financial situation and plan accordingly for the future. Choices relating to future health and personal care decisions should be considered and recorded, written down, documented for future use. Legal and estate planning should also be discussed as part of that future care planning. And as well, think about an alternative caregiving plan in the event that you're unable to provide care in the future. So having a backup plan is always a wise idea. And in fact, we promote this, the importance of having a backup plan. We usually do a yearly workshop around creating that backup plan and helping caregivers to get the resources that they need to do this. So keep an eye. There's often these workshops that do come up throughout the year. Caring for someone with dementia can be an incredibly complex task. It can be frustrating, confusing, emotionally and physically exhausting, though it does have its rewards and good times for sure. So that's important to find that balance. Whether you're a family member, a volunteer, a paid caregiver, if you're the only one providing care, you may wish to get some important help at some point in that caregiving role. So we're going to talk about 4 main sources of help that may be available to you. So we're going to look at emotional help. We're going to look at relief and respite care. We're going to investigate practical help as well as help from the community. So let's take a look at these now. In terms of emotional help, and we touched on this briefly before, but let's discuss a little bit further about the importance of seeking out and accepting emotional help. You may feel that you need the support that comes from sharing thoughts and feelings with others. Some days you may just need a sympathetic ear, someone who will listen and not judge. Other days you may need a really safe place to vent. Friends and family members can help, but you may also find it useful to talk to others who have lived with or worked with caregivers. A support group can give you a place to talk with other caregivers who understand the disease and know just what you're going through. It gives you an opportunity to share your own experiences, to get some practical suggestions that can help you in your daily caregiving role. And letting you help others at the same time, giving that option to help others. A support group can also help you to manage stress and feel less isolated. And many caregivers report that they do feel isolated in their role. Some groups are targeted to spouses or adult children. The important thing is to contact, our local society for more information about the support groups that we do offer. And we know that not everyone is comfortable participating in a group, and that's okay too. Sometimes one-on-one support and communication, talking with somebody who's gone through the experience of caring for a person with dementia, also known as peer support, that can be very, very helpful. It can also be helpful to talk with a trained professional or a counselor. You can find client support coordinators who provide counseling and support, as well as peer support through our local society. But you can also look for a social worker through your public health department, through a health center or a family service agency. There's many, many options that are available. Your family doctor may also know of counseling resources in your community. And as I touched on earlier, another way to look after your emotional needs is with humor. Humor can work wonders by helping you to cope with the caregiving demands that you face. Some days it will be possible to laugh. Others it may not be. It may be a lot harder to find that humor. But try your best to look for the humor in those day-to-day situations. Like I said before, maybe it's seeing that funny movie or laughing with friends finding other methods for bringing that important sense of humor into your days. Now, to continue in your caregiving role, it is strongly recommended that you organize some type of respite care. Perhaps that is a much needed break, a chance to do something for yourself, or to get away from the demands that are placed on you in your caregiving role. Regular relief can help to rejuvenate your mind and body by giving you a break, as well as providing you with practical support. Asking for that help, however, can be a hard thing to do. You may feel that you are imposing on others, or that you are the only one who can or should provide care to the person with dementia. The reality is, and I think I said this earlier, is that no one can provide care alone. Taking time for yourself now, even if it's just for an hour or two, can help you to be a better caregiver when you return to the caregiving role. And it is not selfish. It is an important thing to do to support your own health and well-being. If you don't have family members or friends to give you a hand, you may be able to find a volunteer through your local religious community or place of worship, or even your local community center. So those may be other options to consider. In-home respite programs bring trained individuals into your home to provide care. Depending on the program, the worker may provide any number of tasks or support levels of support, such as companionship, assistance with personal care, bathing and dressing, help with some housework, and many other examples as well. So check with our society about programs that are available in your area. Many communities like ours have adult day programs. In these, the person with dementia can participate in a broad range of activities and also have a great chance to socialize with others too. These programs usually include a meal and sometimes even transportation. So they may be available in different configurations. It could be half days or from 1 to 5 full days a week. So it's important to do some research into what's available there as well. And some long-term care homes have respite beds so that caregivers in the community can get some relief. Feel free to check with our society for information about where to find more information about respite programs that may be available to you.
To make caring for someone with dementia at home easier, get help with some of the day-to-day activities and tasks. This can include personal care, cleaning, meals, household chores, and taking the person to appointments. It can be helpful to start by making a list of all the tasks that need to be done, including personal care, shopping, yard work, transportation, and housework. You may be able to get help from family or friends, neighbors, volunteers, or agencies. Some help may be available through the home care program in your area at no or low cost. Contact your local Alzheimer's Society for more information on services available in your area. Services that can help include home care workers who provide personal care in your home, helping with eating, dressing, and bathing, as well as light household tasks. Housekeeping services. This usually includes cleaning, shopping, laundry, and meal preparation. Skilled nursing services. Nursing services provide trained professionals in the home. Meals on Wheels. These programs offer home-delivered meals to help provide well-balanced lunches and dinners. Volunteer or friendly visiting. These provide a friendly visitor, might be paid or just volunteer position, to spend time with the person doing an activity such as walking. And as Sarah mentioned, day programs or seniors programs. These provide social interactions for the person as well as respite for the caregiver. Every community has agencies and services that can help you. Services for seniors and caregivers vary in different provinces, territories, and regions. You can find out what services are available in your community from a number of different sources, including us, your local Alzheimer's Society, your family doctor, health clinic, or social worker, the public health department in your area, community organizations like Community Care, or from friends, family members, or neighbors, especially if they've been a caregiver as well. We wanted to put in a slide here about young carers, and we just want to acknowledge that caring for a person with dementia as a child, a teen, or a young adult comes with its own unique challenges. You may feel like you have less time to do things that other people your age are doing. You may feel isolated from your friends, and you may be experiencing a lot of pressure and stress. It's important to know and to learn how to cope with feelings you might have, such as sadness and guilt, and to know where to get help if you need it. It can also be helpful to know how other young carers deal with their situations. We do have resources available for young carers, and one that we really like is, it's on the left here, it's a By Us, For Us guide called Support Matters, a guide for young carers and their allies. This guide was actually written by and for young carers, and it examines factors that are important in their lives. Again, it's for people who are experiencing a shift in their family roles as a result of a family member's exceptional needs or their unique family situation. It suggests ways to manage and cope with responsibilities and provides advice and guidance to adults and organizations on ways that they can better support young carers in their community. So if you are a young carer or anyone who's experiencing this caregiving journey, please reach out and we can connect you with more resources.
Thanks, Sally. So here we're going to talk about different ways to support a caregiver. So if you're not a care partner for someone living with dementia, but you know someone who is, you might be wondering what you can do to help to support that person. And here are a few suggestions of things that you can do to let the care partner in your life know that you're there for them. One is to listen without judgment. Sometimes just having somebody to provide a listening ear is all that's really needed to help support that care partner. You could help to or offer to help with errands, or maybe just arrange a porch drop-off of some things that are needed for that care partner and their household. Learn about dementia and build your understanding of the symptoms and what that care partner is experiencing. Keep in touch. Even a short phone call or a virtual visit over Zoom can help the person to feel less isolated. It's important to continue to include the person with dementia because they value your friendship as well. You could even offer to have a virtual visit or a phone conversation with the person with dementia so the caregiver can have a bit of a break. It's important to keep the lines of communication open with your friend or family member who is a caregiver for someone living with dementia. Ask what you can do to help. Your continued presence and your knowledge of the situation will allow that care partner to feel more comfortable going to you when they need additional support. Continue to be a friend because the care partner in your life will appreciate those thoughtful gestures more than you know. Wow, we've reached the end. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for our session today. If today's session has raised any questions for you, or if you're looking for some more information on this topic, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at the Alzheimer's Society. Also, if you haven't before, take a moment to visit our website. There you can access a number of resources to learn more about dementia and to read up on topics that are especially relevant for care partners. At this time, I'm going to ask Sarah to stop the recording.